All right. In the midst of talking about Crawford and Terence Crawford, I never actually made a video about Crawford re-signing with Top Rank. All right, he re-signed with them before the Benavidez fight. Okay, and I never really spoke on it. I brought it up in other videos, spoke briefly on it, but this is how I feel. Listen, right now, the welterweight division is full of PBC fighters. Okay, I don't need to go down a list. Old fighters, new fighters, these are all guys that's part of the PBC, Manny Pacquiao's even over there now, You got Thurman, you got Porter, you got Garcia, you got Berto. Outside of a few, Kell Brook is still out there, Amir Khan is still out there. Guys like that, but the majority of them are with PBC. Terence Crawford just now getting to the welterweight division. He was able to fight Jeff Horn and win the title with, being with Top Rank. And he was able to fight Benavidez, which was a solid fight up there at 147. It's a big 147 fighter that had some skills. But where does he go from here? Being that he's with Top Rank and he just signed his deal there. He's going to be there for a while. Pretty much probably for the rest of his career. The way things are looking now, unless something dramatic happens where he's trying to fight his way out of contract. Hopefully that don't happen because those always end ugly. We saw what happened with Mikey Garcia. What does he do? I personally wish he did sign with the PBC, business-wise, because the welterweights are there. And it would be harder for these guys to avoid him for long, And in that video that I just did today about Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, I think if I really, a lot of these guys that come and look at my videos, they don't know that I've been talking about these guys for a while. So they come and watch my video for the first time and be like, oh, you're just biased. No, I'm not. I'm not biased. I'm talking about what's going on right now. And then based on that face-off, I'm talking about what was said right then and there. Right then and there, I feel like Terence Crawford is the one that really wants to fight right now. And Errol Spence Jr. is the one that is being more business-minded. I got to fight the guys that's on my side of the street first before I get to you. Based on his conversation with Al, Terence Crawford's name didn't even come up. But we already know what Errol Spence have been saying as far as fighting the top fighters. If he got a belt, maybe, we could get the fight. But now that he has a belt, he's like, well, I got to get through these guys. And the problem is these guys like Keith Thurman and Sean Porter, Sean has a fight schedule. Keith has a comeback fight schedule. There were rumors a couple weeks ago about them securing a rematch between Porter and Keith Thurman. So in 2019, in the upcoming year, I don't see Errol Spence fighting a Terence Crawford. I personally think that they're just going to keep building this to it may be possibly happening in a couple years from now, the earliest, or it may not happen at all. It may not happen at all because by that time, Errol's not a guy that I really see standing around at 147 for too long. He'll be 30 soon. How much longer are you going to stay at 147? And my biggest fear is that fight not happening because Errol chooses to go up in weight. All right? But I believe that if Terence Crawford was actually a PBC fighter, Al Heyman would have no choice but to make the fight because if these guys really want to fight each other and guys like Thurman and Porter are trying to avoid those fights, there's really nothing left but to fight each other because Terence is not acting like the way these other welterweights are acting. Okay? I don't know what's going on in these rooms with Al Heyman. Nobody really does. It seems like even the PBC fighters don't really have a clue what's going on. I don't know what's going on. But as far as Terence Crawford, what does he do from here? What does he do? You know, I looked at Fight News and I looked up the WBO rankings, and it's not much really going on there. There's a couple of fighters. There's one guy in the first and second position, 2 undefeated fighters there that will probably get their shot at fighting Terence Crawford at some point, that no one really knows like that. You know, no one's bringing these fighters up. If you want to go up and look it up, there's no one there. You know, you got Jesse Vargas lingering around, but Terence beating Jesse Vargas is not gonna do anything for his career. He's been fighting guys on a level with Jesse Vargas for a while now. You know, the main guys are a Danny Garcia, a Sean Porter, and a Keith Thurman, and an Errol Spence. You know, outside of those 3, he would just be fighting fighters that all of these guys already beat. You know, even if he wants to go outside and fight an Amir Khan, which I doubt happens, or Kell Brook. You know, you fight Kell Brook, you're fighting the Kell Brook that Spence already beat. You're fighting Amir Khan that's lost, and he's not all that. You know, he's not looking great. You know, he saw his fight with Samuel Vasquez, you know, a guy that Errol and Danny Garcia beat up pretty easily. All right? Amir Khan struggled with him. So what does Terence Crawford really do? Unfortunately, fortunate for him, re-signing with Top Rank does screw him as far as getting the better fights made. Okay? It does. It does. And no one should deny that. All right? Like I said, I personally wish he signed with PBC because things would be a lot more easier. And I think when it comes to these weight divisions, this is a struggle that comes along with this sport. And, you know, I was watching this interview with Lou DiBella. Lou DiBella actually has, and I'll post the link to the video. It's a Fight Hype interview where Lou DiBella is asked these questions. Like, listen, what if Errol Spence and Terence Crawford wants to fight? You know, being that Crawford is over with Top Rank, what happens? And Lou DiBella pretty much says what I say. Like, as far as, listen, if they really want to make the fight can be made. All right? If they see enough money involved, they will make this fight. They'll make the fight. And I say this all the time. The hype is there. Let's not act like the hype is there. I think the fight can be made. But on a business standpoint from Errol's side, it makes more sense to fight those guys first. And I never disputed that. I've only recently disputed it because Keith Thurman and Sean Porter are not trying to fight. They're not trying to fight Errol Spence. They used the same thing, the same excuse before. When Errol didn't have a title, they said, well, he needs a title. Now that Errol has a title, they rather fight each other first before getting in the ring with Errol Spence. You know, Sean Porter wanted the Danny Garcia fight. He wanted to fight that for that vacant title, that vacant WBC title against Danny Garcia first, because we all know that Danny Garcia is the easier target. He's the easier target. We know Errol won a title, but Sean didn't say anything to him. He didn't want no problems with Errol Spence. He doesn't want that fight. None of them want that fight. A lot of these boxers are waiting. They're waiting for the fighter to either lose to someone or get exposed in a fight before they come out with confidence like, yeah, I want to fight this guy. Yo, you know what's funny? A long time ago, before Keith Thurman and Sean Porter actually fought each other, Sean Porter wasn't like big on fighting Keith Thurman. Once upon a time, and it wasn't because they were friends. Once upon a time, Keith Thurman was extremely feared in that division. Okay? And it wasn't until Arrow really came out before guys were really like trying to get at him. It wasn't until Arrow. But when Keith Thurman looked a little vulnerable in certain fights, that's when guys got the confidence enough to start calling out his name. Because Danny Garcia damn sure didn't want to fight him. There's a lot of fighters that did not want to fight Keith Thurman at one point. You know, but it got to a point where Keith wasn't knocking guys out like the way he was. He started looking vulnerable because he got hit, like the fight with who's the Puerto Rican fighter from Brooklyn. I can't think. I got a brain freeze right now. But you know who I'm talking about. The one that went to Thurman's body and had Thurman looking a little shaky in that fight. Louis Collazo. It wasn't until that fight where a lot of fighters started feeling confident enough to want to get in the ring with Thurman. And Sean Porter is one of those guys. So, you know, I was listening to Lou DiBella, and Lou DiBella is like, you know, he was keeping it 100. He was just like, listen, these fights get made. He said he had the same issue with Daniel Jacobs. Daniel Jacobs and between Daniel Jacobs and Derevyanchenko. You know, Derevyanchenko really wanted to fight. They really wanted to fight, and they made the fight happen. You know, as far as networking and stuff like that concerned, was a little issue, but they made the fight happen. The fights can be made. So I don't want people to just, let's not go back to, we already dealt with that with Floyd and Pacquiao for all those years. Let's not go back to that. These fights can be made. But as far as Terence Crawford, I can't be mad. And this was what Lou DiBella said too. Like, a lot of guys want to stick to their original promoter. They want to stick with, you know, who gave them the opportunity. And when Crawford was at 140 and 135, it made sense for him. Because at 140 and 135, anybody was there. Any top 140 fighter was there to fight, to face, without having any promotion or network beef. But now at 147, whether or not I like Bob Arum, I do understand him wanting to be loyal to the promoter he's with. And Jermall Charlo is currently in the same boat. All of these fighters that were getting contracts from Eddie recently, you know, with the Zone, and even a few years back when Rock Nation was trying to buy out all of these guys and get them going, Keith Thurman, Adrian Broner. What did these guys say? They turned down Rock Nation. Rock Nation was throwing a lot of money. They was throwing a lot of money. But guess what? These guys were turning down the money because they wanted to stay loyal to Al. So can we get mad? Should we get mad at Terence Crawford for wanting to stay loyal to Al? No. You know, I can't really get mad. There are some people that are saying that that's a form of ducking. That Terence Crawford re-signing with Top Rank is another form of ducking. He didn't want to go over there with that smoke. That's not how it works, man. If you guys have been in a position, look at Demetrius Andrade. He was with Star Boxing. You know, they're not a big, heavy, they didn't have a large stable of boxers, but he wanted to keep staying loyal to the guys that put him on, that brought him to the game. Are we going to say the same for him? You know, for years. He just now recently signed with Hearn, so now he's getting some exposure. But he stayed with them because he wanted to be loyal to these guys. You know, the Rock Nation deal was there, and he didn't take that deal. You know, I don't know why he never signed with Al, but I don't know what's going on in the negotiations. And, you know, I think with Bud, I think he felt like, you know, getting $3 million guaranteed a fight. I believe that's what the amount is, $3 million for these fights. I think he felt that, you know what, I'm going to stick with them. I think Bud is never going to be a mega star. He's just not. I think it would have happened by now if he's going to be that mega star. I think it's going to take some time before he has to fight a really, really big name. Just like Floyd needed to fight De La Hoya for him to catapult and get to that next level of fame. You know, when he's fighting in the Omaha, he's the man. He can sell out that arena in Omaha. And you know what? Maybe he's content with that. You know, I don't know. I don't think Crawford has the business mind like some of these other fighters. You know? Maybe he's just the type of guy that just wants to stay loyal to Top Rank. You know, I can't fault him. I can't say he's ducking the welterweight division by making that move because fighters do it all the time. I just gave y'all some examples. Jamal Charlo, what is he going to do? Jamal Charlo is fighting Willie Monroe Jr. Do you guys want to see that fight? He's fighting Willie Monroe Jr. because he has to settle for Willie Monroe Jr. because in his case, he's an Al Haymon fighter, but none of the top welterweight, the middleweights are with Al Haymon. They're over there on the zone and HBO. So what is Jamal? We're going to say that Jamal should leave Al Haymon and PBC in order to fight the zone? Eddie already came out and addressed that. He said, listen, you don't have to be a DAZN. You don't have to be signed to DAZN in order to fight on DAZN. We can make the fights happen. You know, I would like Triple G to fight Jamal, but Triple G doesn't want to give Jamal a shot. You know, I would like Canelo to fight Jamal over Rocky Fielding. You know, I would like those fights to happen. But if they do happen, you better believe that it's not going to be on PBC. It's going to be over there on DAZN. Unless Golovkin were to sign with PBC, which I doubt he does. He's going to chase where the rest of the middleweights are. I'm pretty sure he's going to end up going to DAZN as well, since HBO is done. So with all that being said, listen, I wish Terence Crawford became PBC. But since he's with Top Rank, what does he do? I really don't have an answer for that. He needs Errol Spence more than Errol Spence needs him. But my whole point was, Errol, since these guys are holding you up and playing games, and you're on a side where these fights should be easy to make, but they're not so easy, fight this guy that really wants to fight you, that people really want to see. People are demanding this fight more than any other fight. All right? So, Terence, as far as Terence, I don't know who I want to see him fight next. That's not a PBC fight. There's no one really out there, except a couple of the fighters like a Khan or a Brook. There's no, you know, you got Jesse Vargas. The big fights over PBC, the undefeated fighters, the champions are PBC. The fights can be made. It's just that they're going to keep the fights in-house first. On a business aspect, I understand that. But PBC got to do their job and make these fights happen. Like, come on. How long are we going to keep waiting? Do we want to see who Sean Porter's fighting next? No. Do we want to see Keith Thurman fighting? You know, I don't know Keith Thurman. I know this is his comeback fight. But do we want to see him fight Josecito Lopez? Do we want to see that fight? You know? I don't care for the Mikey Garcia fight and Errol Spence, you know. I'd rather see all of those fights before I see Mikey Garcia fight him. That's just my opinion. Mikey is very, very talented. It's just that he's not a welterweight. I would rather see the Terence Crawford fight. You know? And Mikey is another guy that also said he doesn't want to fight Terence Crawford. But when I heard him say it, I heard him say he was judging Terence Crawford's style. He said he doesn't want him to run and stuff. I've heard that out of his mouth. The interview's up there. People want to put it on Bob, and I understand he doesn't want to do business with Bob because he has bad blood with Bob. All right? But there's a demand for that fight as well. You know? There's always been a demand in that. All right? And Terence is a guy that came up from 135. But this is not really about Mikey Garcia because he's not a welterweight. Anyway, I just wanted to address that. Videos that I'm getting requested. I have to do Fury versus Wilder. I got to get that out of the way because that's coming up close. That's coming up close. People want me to do a video on Pacquiao and Adrian Broner. I don't know why. I mean, y'all really want me to do a video on that? It's just like, I don't know, man. I think it's just a silly fight, man. Pacquiao's gonna beat the shit out of him. But I'll do a video on it. I gotta do videos on that fight, that Tyson Fury Wilder. I gotta do one on that, and I actually gotta do a video. I actually gotta do a video talking about the actual fight with Mikey and Errol. I'm going to do a video, an actual breakdown. I spoke on it. You know, a lot of people watched it. I didn't break the fight down though. I just think that the fight was a mismatch. But I'm gonna actually do a technical breakdown on that. But be on the lookout for Wilder and Fury because I kind of made my decision on where I'm going to go with that. And just be on the lookout for that, all right? I'll try to get it out there tomorrow if I can, all right? Peace.